Lecture 9. So today we're talking about factoring. We started talking about factoring yesterday. Okay, let's see the first one. Right, the difference of two squares. So the formula is like this. If we have something squared minus something squared, you see there's a difference. Difference means there's a subtraction. Two squares, you see this first one is a square, second one is a square. So I use A and B to represent. So that can be factored as A plus B times A minus B. Let's see why is that. Let's see what is A plus B times A minus B. Because yesterday we talked about multiply two binomials. And this is a binomial, two terms. This is a binomial, two terms. So when we multiply first one with first one, second one with second one, and multiply these two, and multiply these two. Right, looks nice, like a smiley face. So A times A, get A squared. B times negative B is negative B squared. B times A is BA, but normally we like to write A in front of B. So get AB. Then A times negative B is negative AB. So those two are like terms. So when we add those two, one is positive, one is negative. So those two adds up to be 0. So left with A squared minus B squared. So let's try to remember this formula. It's very, very useful. Right? So now let's see this one, 8. So the first one is a square, and it's a difference, subtraction. But 49 itself is not a square. But remember, 49 is a 7 squared, right? So this can be written as x squared minus a 7 squared. Let's write the equal sign. Now we have difference of two squared. So A is x, B is 7. So that means this can be factored as x plus 7, x minus 7. And we call those two conjugate. So x plus 7, x minus 7, we call them conjugate. Because they're just, this is 8. They just differ by sign, where one is plus, one is minus. But the first term is x, second term is 7. Only the operation, one is plus, one is minus. So they're conjugates with each other. Now let's see B. B, x squared, y squared is multiplication. So we can write it as this, x times y, parentheses squared. Now we see A is xy. Right? And this 36 is a 6 squared. So now A is xy, B is a 6. So we can write it as xy plus 6 and xy minus 6. Now let's see 2. Well, polynomial can be prime too, prime expression. So this one is a prime. Cannot be factored because this is sum, it's a summation. We see x squared, we see y squared, but it's a summation of two squares. But later on, when we talk about complex numbers, it can be factored in the complex number world, but not in real number world. So we see this is a prime. Let's see this one. This one, we see the two terms have common factors. Right? 2 is a common factor. X is a common factor. Y is a common factor. So we like to factor out that. So the first one, when we factor out 2xy, what's left? X squared. Okay. So 2xy times x squared is 2x cubed. And the second one, 8xy, when we factor out 2xy, we're left with negative 4. And 4 is 2 squared. So we can write as x squared minus 2 squared. Okay, now we have difference of two squares. So this can be factored as 2xy, right? times x plus 2 and then x minus 2. Now it's in factored form. This is a factor, this is a factor, this is a factor. Let's see 3. Trinomial. So yesterday we did some trinomial factoring. So today we're going to keep going. So the first one, x squared, is only one way to factor. So we write like this. We write two parentheses. The first one is x times x. Then every term, the 3 terms are positive. So we know this is a plus, this is a plus. Now we think about the 25y squared. We want to factor into 2 factors. And these 2 factors adds up to be 10xy, 10y, right? Because x comes from here. So you see this middle term is 10xy. The x comes from the first term. So 10y. So this is what we want. So 2 factors here, this guy and this guy, multiply to be 25y squared. Add together to be 10y. Well, that's 5y, right? Because 5y plus 5y is 10y. 5y times 5y, that's 25y squared. So x plus 5y, x plus 5y. And those 2 factors are the same. So normally we write it as x plus 5y squared, right? Because something multiplied by itself is a square. And we call this perfect square. And perfect square will have formula too. So let me write in blue color. So if we have a plus b squared, that is the first one squared plus, that's 2, plus 2 times the first one times the second one, then plus second one squared. So let's compare this. You see this one, the first one is x. Let's look at it. First one is x squared. Second one is 5y. So 2 times x times 5y, that's 10xy. Then the second one squared, 5y squared, which is 25y squared. So also, ideally, we can remember this formula. A plus b squared equals a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. Or sometimes this may be negative sign. So a minus b. If it's a minus b, then this middle term will be minus 2ab. But we still have positive b squared because negative b squared is also, right? Negative b times negative b give us positive b squared. Now let's see b. B, so 49y squared, right? So the first one, of course, is just x. We'll focus on this. So 49y squared. Can we find the 2 factors and 2 negative factors? Because the middle term is negative. 2 negative factors and multiply to be 49y squared, and it adds up to be negative 7y. That's impossible, right? Because 49, the factors of 49 is 1, 7, and 9. If we break into 1 and 49, that adds up to be negative 50. If we break up to be negative 7y, that adds up to be negative 14y. So that tells us this is prime. It's not factorable. It's always tricky how to move this. I need a 4 and 5, please. Please. Okay, 4. We want to use the difference of squares, sum or difference of cubes. All right. The sum of cubes, difference of cubes, that's this. So we have a cube plus b cube. That's the sum of 2 cubes. That can be factored as a plus b times a squared minus ab plus b squared. Okay, you can multiply. You see some terms get canceled. In the end, you get a cube plus b cube. So if it's a difference of two cubes, a cube minus b cube, that's a minus b, a squared plus ab plus b squared, right? So those are these two other, other formulas. So let's see the first one. The first one, we have four terms. We have x squared minus 2x plus 1 minus y squared. Well, we can group those two. We can factor out these two. Okay. So x squared minus 2x plus 1 is a perfect square. This can be factored as x minus 1 squared, right? You see first one squared. Then the middle term is the first one times the second one times 2. 2 times the x, 2x times negative 1, negative 2x. Then the third one is negative 1 squared, which is positive 1. Then minus y squared. Now we see this is the difference of two squares. And it just happens, this is a, this is b. So a is x minus 1, b is y. So that can be factored as a plus b times a minus b. So a is x minus 1 plus y times x minus 1 minus y. Right? So this is factored into two factors. Now b is the difference of two cubes. So the first one, ax cubed, is 2x parentheses cube, right? Minus 125 is 5 cubed. So in our case, in this case, compared to the above, a is 2x, b is 5. Right? You could write on the side, a is 2x, b is 5. Then use this one, we use this formula. So get a minus b, 2x minus 5. Then a squared, 2x squared is 4x squared. Then plus a times b. Well, a times b is 10x. Then plus b squared 5 squared, which is 25. So we have two factors. Now let's see 5. Factor completely. The first one, we see 4 is a common factor. X is a common factor, so we factor out 4x. Then we're left with x squared plus 4y squared. And this is sum of two squares. It cannot be factored anymore. So that's it. Two factors, 4x and x squared plus 4y squared. B, we see both are negative, and the negative and the 2 also is factored. So let's factor negative 2 first. Then we have x cubed plus 27, right? Because negative 2 times 27 is negative 54. And 27 is a 3 cubed. So that means we can use the sum of two cubes above. So that's negative 2 times x plus 3 times x squared minus 3x plus 3 squared, which is 9. Let's see C. C, we have 15, we have negative 6. Right? If you want to use bridge method, in class we talk about this. But this is x raised by 4, this is x raised by squared, right? So you could use bridge method, or, yeah, bridge method is this. You think about 15 times negative 6. That's, then somehow you go from the factors adds up to be positive 13, right? So 15, let's do 3 times 5, then negative 2 times 3. So from those factors, how do we form positive 13? 3 times 6, 18. Oh, yes. Okay. Let's see. Do this. Let's do this as -6. 3, a positive 6. -1, positive 6. Right? So 3 times 6, positive 18. 5 times -1, -5. So that makes that, okay. So you can do this. You use a bridge method, that's 15. X raised by 4. Then split 13x squared into positive 18 x squared minus 5x squared, then minus 6, right? 18x squared minus 5x squared, still positive 13x squared. Then from those two, factor out 3x squared. Then we have 5x squared plus 6. From these two, factor out -1. Right, -1, 5x squared plus 6. Both has common factors of 5x plus 6. So factor out 5x squared plus 6. Then the first one left with 3x squared. The second one left with -1. So the factor is 5x squared plus 6. And another factor is 3x squared minus 1. So this is called bridge method. But let's try my method. Of course, you can always use this method, okay? And I think this method works for a lot of people. So my method is this. I think about the factors of 15x raised by 4, right? So that can be 3x squared and a 5x squared. Then -6, I think about the factors of -6. Somehow to put over here 1 plus 1 minus, then to come up with the middle term of 13x squared. So of course, right, you can see I want to do this because remember, this give us the middle term, right? 3x squared times 6, that give us 18x squared. And because I put a positive 6 here, I need to put a -1 here. Because -1 times positive 6 is a -6. Then multiply those two, I get -5x squared. So those two adds up to be positive 13x squared. Okay. Now let's see D. D have 4 terms. So let's group them 2 by 2. So the first two, common factor x cubed. Then we have x plus 5 left. The second group, let's factor out -16x. Then we have x plus 5, right? Because 5 times 16 is 80. Now we see common factor of x plus 5. So let's factor out x plus 5. Then first group we have x cubed, second group we have 16x. Now we see in the second group, x is a common factor. So let's factor out x. Then x becomes a factor. Then we have x squared minus 16. Well, 16 is 4 squared. Difference of 2 squares. So the factor is, we'll keep writing x times x plus 5, those two factors. Then x squared minus 4 squared, that's x plus 4 times x minus 4. Right? So total we have 4 factors. So this one factored into 4 factors. Five. Let's see, 6. It's very tricky to change the pages. You see, please, I need a 6. So why do we want to factor polynomial? Because it helps us to solve equations. You see now, we have equation, right? X squared minus 5x equals 6. So this is called a quadratic equation. Why is quadratic? It's polynomial degree 2. Degree 2 because the leading term here has exponent of 2. And the 2 is the highest exponent. So what do? This is trinomial, right? So first we want to move 6 from the right-hand side to the left-hand side. It becomes negative. Or you can think of minus 6 on both sides. Now we have made the right-hand side to be 0. So x squared minus 5x minus 6 trinomial can be factored as x minus 6 times x plus 1, right? Because the negative 6 plus positive 1, that's negative 5x. That gives us a middle term. Negative 6 times positive 1 is a negative 6. X times x, x squared. Now we can use something called a zero property. Zero property. Zero property saying if we have something multiplied by something equals to 0, this is a product. If product of two things is 0, that means either one can be 0. A can be 0, or B can be 0, or maybe A and B both 0. Okay. So in this case, our A is x minus 6. That means x minus 6 can be 0. So 0 times anything is 0. Then also x plus 1 can be 0. Solve this one, add 6 on both sides, or move 6 from left-hand side to the right. Same thing for this. So we have two solutions. We get 6, we get negative 1. Let's see B. B, we're going to do the same thing. We move every term to the left-hand side. So x squared plus 5, move 8x to the left, become negative. Move 11 to the left, become positive. Now the right-hand side left with 0. So 5 and 11 are like terms, can be combined. So x squared minus 8x plus 16. Now this is actually perfect square. This is x minus 4 squared. Right, first one square is x squared. And 2 times x times negative 4, that's negative 8x. Negative 4 squared is 16. So that means x minus 4 can be 0. Has to be 0 actually. Then x equals 4. So this one only have one solution. Because the two factors are same. Both factors are x minus 4. So we could see we still have two solutions, but the two solutions are the same. Now let's see 7. 7, we're going to do the same. Move everything to the left-hand side. Right. Negative 5x squared on the right become positive. Negative 6x become positive on the left. So when we move to the other side of the equation, only the sign gets changed. Now we can factor x. X squared plus 5x plus 6 equals to 0. Because x is a common factor of the 3 terms. Now x squared plus 5x plus 6 also can be factored as x plus 3 and x plus 2. So 2 times 3 is 6. 2 plus 3 is 5. I have 3 factors. It's like this. I have A times B. Now I have times C now. But in that case, that means C might be 0 also. I have 3 factors. So that means x can be 0. X plus 3 can be 0. And x plus 2 can be 0. So I have 3 solutions. I have x equals 0, x equals negative 3, x equals negative 2. 3 solutions because it's a polynomial degree 3. Let's see B. We're going to do the same thing. X cubed plus 4x squared minus 9x minus 36 equals to 0. So 4 terms, We're factoring, we divide by two groups. The first group has x squared as a common factor. The left with x plus 4. The second group, -9 is a common factor. They'll also have x plus 4. Now x plus 4 is a common factor. Factor out x plus 4. First term left with x squared. Second term left with -9. Well, 9, remember, is a 3 squared. So this means, well, x squared minus 3 also can be factored. Difference of two squares, x plus 3, x minus 3. So we also get three solutions. X plus 4 can be 0. X plus 3 can be 0. X minus 3 can be 0. So this gives us three solutions. X equals -4. X equals -3. X equals to positive 3. Three solutions. Again, we see polynomial degree 3 can have at the most three solutions. Let's see, 8 and 9. I think we have 9 questions. Yes. 8. So 8 is a quadratic function using in life. So you threw a ball straight up from a rooftop 128 feet high. Well, think about this is a rooftop, right? This is a building. You're standing here. You toss a ball. The ball makes a parabola. And then this is 128. From here to here, 128 feet high, with an initial speed of 32 feet per second. Okay. You see 32 shows up here, speed. The function is represented as this. So this is a position function, right? So S means this position of the ball. And a function in terms of t equals to -16 t squared plus 32 t plus 128. Remember yesterday we talked about polynomial n behavior. This is a polynomial of degree 2, and with the leading coefficient negative, so we know the n behavior is both hands down. And this happens to be degree 2 quadratic, so just downward parabola. So the picture of this is a downward parabola, exactly like this. See, this is a downward parabola. All right. So, right, so S of t represents the height of the ball above the ground in feet, and t represents time in seconds. The ball misses the rooftop on its way down and falls to the ground. The question is, how long does it take for the ball to hit the ground? So when the ball hits the ground, what is its height? When it hit, because S of t measures the height above the ground. So when we hit the ground, it's 0. Right? So basically we just set the function -16 t squared plus 32 t plus 128. That's 0, right? That's 0. Yeah. So now we just solve this quadratic equation. Well, let's divide because we have equal sign, right? Let's divide everyone by -16. Then the leading term becomes just t squared, 1t squared. Then 32 divided by -16 is -2t. 128 divided by 16, that's 8, right? Because 6 times 8, 48. 6 times 8, 1 times 8, 8 plus 6. 8 plus 6, that's 14. No, 6 times 6 of 8 plus 4, okay, 128. So that's a -8 goes to 0. Now factor out -8 to be -4 and -2, -4 +2. So factor this as t minus 4, t plus 2 equals to 0. Okay. Because 2 times -4 is -8, -4 plus 2, that's -2. So this means t minus 4 can be 0 and t equals 4 seconds. Or can t plus 2 equal 0? Never. This will never equals to 0, right? Because we don't measure time negatively. So the least value of t is 0, and 0 plus 2. So the least value of this factor is 2. Is 2. Remember in zero property, we're seeing if a times b equals to 0, a might be 0 or b might be 0. But we didn't see all of them have to be 0. As long as one of them, we could have c, we could have multiplied with d. But as long as one is 0 in multiplication, that makes the product to be 0. So in this case, t plus 2 can not be 0. T minus 4 is 0, so t equals 4. So to answer this question, it takes 4 seconds. It takes 4 seconds for the ball to hit the ground. Okay, last question. 9. Nine says a rectangular pool measure. Okay, let's draw a rectangle. Rectangle like this. Right? 4 corners are 90 degrees. In classroom, you see the whiteboard is a rectangle, and my table, my desks are rectangles. So this pool measures by 12 by 20. So rectangle, the two sides, the opposite two sides having the same size. So the length is 20, the width is 12. A walkway of width x needs to be constructed around the pool. Let me use a different color. So that means we want to build a walkway around the pool. And the width is x. So from here to here is x. From here to here is x. Okay, same thing for the other side. Like here to here, x. Here to here, x. The area of the walkway is 68 square feet. So the area of the walkway, how do we figure out the area of the walkway? So it's 68 equals to the area of this. This is the walkway. So we need to figure out the area of this. Area that's shaded in blue, right? So let's see here. Let's see this one. This one under the bottom one. Because the length is, the red color is 20, 20 plus this x plus this x. So outside should be 20 plus 2x, right? 20 plus 2x. So 20 plus 2x. 20 plus the length, and the width is x. So that's the area of the top and the bottom. But let me use a different color. So let's use this. So this piece and this piece, right? The area is x times 20 plus 2x. 20 is the red color. And this side has x, this side has x. That's why length is 20 plus 2x. And then the width, the walkway width is x. So x times 20 plus 2x. And now we need to plus x. We have this x. But what is the length of this? That's 12, right? That's just a red. This is a red. So That's x times 12 times 12. And both, we have two of them, right? We have x times 20 plus 2x on the top, on the bottom. So 2 of each. So let me rewrite it. So we have 2 times x times 20 plus 2x plus 12x. Right, for 2 of this. Because 12x, right, this is 12 times x. This is also 12 times x. So I have 2 pieces equals to 68. Now let's divide by 2 on both sides. Right, so we get 34. So we have x, and we can factor our x. You see this, let me rewrite it. So I have x times 20 plus 2x plus 12x equals to 34. Do you see common factor? Let me use different colors. You see, this is a factor, x is a factor of this term, and this is this term, right? So let's factor x. Then we have 20 plus 2. You know what? We don't want to do that because we have 34 on the other side. Okay, let's distribute. So let's distribute this. We have 20 times x, which is 20x. We have x times 2x, which is 2x squared. Right? Basically, I just multiply this with this with this. Then plus 12x. Then we move 34 to the other side, become negative 34 equals to 0. So 2x squared leading down. Then 20x plus 12x, that's plus 32x. Then minus 34 equals 0. So I see common factor of 2. So let's divide everyone by 2. I have x squared plus 16x minus 17. 0 divided by 2 is still 0. Now this can be factored as x plus 17 times x minus 1. Right? Because 17 minus 1, that's a 16. So then, because we're talking about the length, right? So x will never be negative, right? So this first factor will never be 0 because x cannot be negative number. So only this second one can be 0. So that means x equals to 1. All right, so let's answer the question. What is the width of x of the walkway? The width of the walkway is 1 feet. So a unit is feet. So the width of the walkway is 1 feet. And that's it.